Hi, everyone. Good morning. It's great to be here. Thank you for joining us. And one of the most important roles of the board as a single entity is to define the mission if you're part of the founding board, and then to adhere to the mission, and then to take the organization through any update processes to the mission, which wouldn't happen often, but could happen if you're a 30 or 40 or 50-year-old organization. Securing the tax exemption also typically happens with the founding board, but the role of ongoing board members is to ensure that the organization is remaining tax exempt, continuing its charitable work, and remains incorporated. There are articles of incorporation that are filed when the organization is founded, and they typically last a long time. They can be updated. And so while individual board members may not actually do these things, it is the responsibility of the board to ensure that the organization is tax exempt and is incorporated as a business in the state that it's operating. Nonprofit boards usually use bylaws to govern their process. So we'll talk a little more about that in a few slides. Establish policies and ensure compliance. So this is where board members have to work with staff and ensure that they're not sort of stepping into the realm of things that a staff member would do, but it still is the responsibility of the board to make sure that the organization has sound policies and that the organization is compliant. So again, the board is actually the supervisor of the CEO or the ED, and a lot of times we don't think about it in that way, but that is truly how most nonprofits are set up. So the CEO or the ED reports to the board via board report outs at board meetings, and there should be a performance evaluation process of some sort in place for the CEO or the ED. And then just like any supervisor would work with their direct reports, the board should make sure that the ED is getting the support that they need, that they're being provided feedback on their performance regularly, given opportunities to pursue professional development, etc. Strategic planning is a big role of the board, and this comes up more frequently if, let's say, you're a board member on for a 2-year term that renews 3 times, and you're on the board for 6 years. You may go through 2 strategic planning processes in 2-3-year processes, or maybe you have a 5-year plan, but whatever it is, typically all board members are involved in some phase of the strategic planning process, whether it's developing the plan or carrying it out or planning for a new planning process for a new plan. It's the board's role to understand and review finances, but again, the board is not the CFO or full-time financial staff. So it's their role to read their board packets when they go out before the board meetings, try to understand what's in it, or make notes about things that they want to ask about it. Safeguarding assets is a huge one. And we could think about this as cash in the bank, but it means a lot more than that. If you own real estate, for example, real estate would be included. And I think of assets as the people in the organization as well. So all of the organization's assets do need to be safeguarded and stewarded towards the mission. Ensuring that there's adequate funding. So this is, again, a tricky one where board and staff have to figure out how to work together. The board's not involved in day-to-day fundraising efforts, but if the organization is severely underfunded, that is an issue that the board should probably take up and discuss at a board meeting. Is our business model effective? Do we need to sunset programs that are losing money? Do we need to pivot in some way to make sure that our activities are sustainable long-term? But all board members should give. This is really important. Acting as an ambassador is a big one. So making introductions, helping to network with the CEO and the senior staff and the organization, and then renewing the board. So there should be ideally some cycle of recruitment of new board members, onboarding new board members, and then having board members term off. So we talked a little bit about bylaws before. The bylaws are a document that describes how your organization runs and how the board is governed. So a lot of times what you'll see in organization bylaws is a minimum and maximum number of members, how voting takes place, what does it mean to reach a quorum, some information about how new board members join the board, and also term limits, which we highly recommend. It's critical to have that refreshing perspective and